Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have another video for you guys from Seth the Programmer. This one focusing on the second Hokage, Tobirama Senju. Now this video was requested, so of course we're going to watch it right here. And if you have your own video you want me to watch, just let me know about it in the comment section down below. Now before we get into this video guys, as always, I have to let you know that the link to the actual video itself will be available in the description box down below, as well as a link to Seth's channel, so you can head on over there, watch his other videos, subscribe, go show him some support for making really good content. With that being said, let's go ahead and watch the video.
Yes, Tobirama Senju, the second dude, of all people, deserves more credit. Seth the Programmer, the guy who put Tobirama as the 9th strongest Kage, is saying this. Now, of course, when I say he deserves more credit, I myself am admitting I underestimated him, and this video will be making amends for that, as recently I found a good way to word his strength that makes him as powerful as he more rightfully should be, as well as convince myself that it's an accurate and fair analysis. As always though, if you do like the video, maybe you're just a Tobirama fan, maybe you just like vibing and listening to people talk about Naruto, consider hitting that like button. I'd really appreciate it. Also, if you've been here before, maybe this isn't your first rodeo with me, consider hitting that subscribe button as well. Tobirama, in all honesty, might be one of the most pivotal characters in the entire franchise. Without him, many things would not exist that makes Naruto what it is today, even remotely. He is the one who designed the Shinobi academic system. He invented the shadow clone jutsu that Naruto, Hiruzen, Minato, and all top shinobi would spam like no tomorrow. He invented the flying Raijin that would allow him to defeat the brother of Madara Uchiha and make Minato into someone who is hailed as having godlike unparalleled speed, and to solo the third great ninja war practically by himself, with Tobirama also inventing the reanimation jutsu, which would become the catalyst for Orochimaru and Kabuto Yakushi to ascend to the position of challenging people that were once considered gods as shinobi, or legends throughout history. It might not be a total exaggeration to say that if these men and legends were considered gods in their crafts, that Tobirama is the pioneer of the gods. For the most part, and I used to be guilty of this, the biggest downplay of Tobirama tends to be his two losses to Kinkaku and Ginkaku, one being during the summit when he was ambushed with the second Raikage, and the other when he was on mission with a young Danzo and Hiruzen and ended up being hunted down by the Kinkaku force. I just want to come out and say, this is not an anti-feat.
No.
Shocker, I know. This might sound a little crazy to some people, but I think it's important to go over Kinkaku and Ginkaku before jumping to conclusions. Kinkaku and Ginkaku are known to be impressive for two things: their ability to use and access to the Sage of Six Paths 5 ninja tools, and the fact that they dove into the Nine Tails and ate its chakra and innards for 2 weeks straight, gaining the ability to access version 2 Nine Tails cloaks. Many people lowball them because their base states didn't do very well against Darui. However, even then it can be argued many things were them intentionally goofing off, such as Kinkaku having his arm get cut off so he could kick his golden rope into him and proceed to start the process of sealing him away. They were also able to react to the laser circus and so forth, and were in nerfed Edo states. But as I said before, their base forms are not what they're known for. Their transform states are what is truly terrifying. Once transformed, Kinkaku is so powerful that the 4th Raikage actually thinks that he is completely unstoppable. And this isn't far-fetched to say. Remember that even with a similar and probably lesser 4-tailed version 2 Nine-Tails cloak, Naruto is putting the moves on Sannin level fighters when he was considerably weaker at the start of Shippuden. This means that the 4th Raikage, someone who he himself scales above the perfect Jinchuriki 8-Tails, Yugito, and Darui, thinks nobody can fight Kinkaku without the Sage's Amber Purifying Pot. It's to the point that all of First Company, even Second Company, starts jumping him, including Kitsuchi, who can pin down the Geto Mazo, and it still absolutely does no damage to him, even with all of them combining their attacks and catching him off guard. Eventually, Kishimoto just had to hack him out by having Kinkaku get caught off guard by Ino's mind transfer, which even worked on Renegon Obito at one point, and after breaking out of Shikamaru's shadow possession and throwing Choji away. Then, once she mind transferred, she allowed herself to be sealed and Kinkaku was gone. In no shape, way, or form is this some kind of power scaling anti-feat for Kinkaku, nor the second Hokage. And everyone in the alliance was actually scared of him and extremely joyed when they won in such a cheap way. You could argue that the 4th Raikage thought that only nobody in
yeah, here's the thing. Kishimoto is kind of known for doing this, where in the moment he'll have a character be so goddamn impressive, and it gets to a point where he realizes, oh wait, maybe I went too far, and then he comes up with some cheap way for the protagonist to win. Boy.
Darui's platoon stood a chance, it should still be noted that the 4th Raikage thought he would personally have to fight them to stand a chance, and never made any such comment about anybody else but Madara himself. Now imagine Tobirama potentially having to brawl with both of them in their transform states, or even both of them in their transform states alongside their entire platoon of 20 elite shinobi, and you can see why his death or heavy damage that caused his death is justified. Even if you just say that Tobirama scales above Darui in Suigetsu, this would be all the reasoning you'd need to assume that Kinkaku and Genkaku likely transformed against him, especially considering during his time Tobirama was considered the fastest shinobi and was the 2nd Hokage. They'd have no reason to assume he was some Kage's goon and possibly not try their utmost at first or mess around like they did for Darui. Now, I'll go into his scaling with Suigetsu later, but during the mission where he was hunted by the Kinkaku force, he may have also not actually have been at full power as well, as it's implied they were already out on a mission, then started getting tracked by them. They were also all physically scuffed, which is saying something considering the squad that he's on is seriously packed with Danzo, Hiruzen, and Tobirama in their youth. And this is just my headcanon here, but I wouldn't be surprised if the reason Hiruzen became known as the goddess shinobi of his era was from getting revenge and taking out Kinkaku and Ginkaku by himself and avenging Tobirama. Just my thoughts, although I'm curious who you guys think might have been strong enough to do it, as it's implied by Kakazu that Kinkaku rampaged when Ginkaku kicked the bucket. Another potential reason is that Obito and the Akatsuki were responsible, although it's a bit weird they'd even want to hunt Naruto or bother with it if they'd already have those two available already with their Nine Tails chakra, and I doubt the Akatsuki would kill them. You could also imply that Kakazu witnessed Tobirama bodying Ginkaku, and that's when Kinkaku rampaged along with Kakazu and all these other shinobi and then just destroyed him. Anyway, with that out of the way, maybe you guys will be more willing to listen to Tobirama's true strength in a somewhat brighter light than he's just a feetless fodder or something. Now, unlike Minato and Hiruzen, Tobirama's powers are not as nuanced, and he can almost be considered Batman-like in how effective and on the nose with his encounters and readings of situations he has. An example being when everyone is awing over Obito's strength or caught up in their feelings of the past, Tobirama is constantly thinking of the situation, such as Minato's arm not being able to regenerate, Senjutsu working on Obito's truth-seeking orbs, and how to distract and tag him numerous times, which in itself is insanely impressive considering how skillful of a fighter Obito should be by this point, and all the battles he himself has fought in the training he did with Zetsu's, Minato, and even Madara as a child. Even when the Divine Tree was threatening to eliminate everyone in the Alliance, Tobirama was instantly thinking of counters, something even Shikamaru at the time couldn't even conceive of. When he first appeared as an Edo Tensei and had retained enough power and sanity to actually show his personality, unlike the first Hiruzen fight, he instantly flexed and got ready to eliminate Sasuke Uchiha on sight when Sasuke remotely implied he could be a possible enemy of Konoha. Tobirama powering up was so impressive that it made Sasuke somewhat antsy, who at the time has the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, and began to literally melt and scared Suigetsu, and he hid behind Orochimaru. Now, normally, bodying Suigetsu isn't that big of a deal, however, in this case, it kind of is. Suigetsu would be the same guy who would throw hands with Darui and Killer Bee and would still be able to retain his composure until he was blown apart by a Bijou blast or hacked out by lightning. Suigetsu was also relevant in damaging Guru Yamato with Orochimaru, Karin, and Jugo as well, but the fact that Tobirama's aura alone had more presence and ability than the entire Eight Tails Killer Bee is something of extreme note. Hashirama was more blatant with melting him than Tobirama.
It took Hashirama flexing his chakra to get him to calm down.
But come on, it's Hashirama. It's not that bad of a comparison. This is extremely consistent since even as an Edo so nerfed he could barely speak under Orochimaru, he was able to duke it out and even push Hiruzen, who even as an old man was stated as the strongest of the 5 Kage of his time, even stronger than Raikage A, who was considered stronger than B and Yugito in his version 2 Lightning Cloak at that.
Well, the thing about this statement is, again, this did happen in part 1, and as the series went on, like, Kishimoto did kind of retcon a lot of things from part 1, so I don't know if this statement really stands. And considering what we've seen from Raikage A, I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. Personally, I would say maybe Raikage A might be a little bit stronger, but again, I don't know because. Here's the thing: we don't know if Kishimoto even thought of the other Kage at the time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if he thought about the right Kage and all of his abilities and what he could do. So, again, it's possible that maybe Kishimoto may have changed his mind when we got to that part of the story when the Raikage was officially introduced into the story in Shippuden. So I don't know.
That time, yet heavily nerfed Tobirama can somewhat box with him, so definitely not a shock that a much stronger variant could potentially outclass even a transformed Killer Bee, and even in this much stronger variant during the war, he is so weakened that he struggles to make just 2 shadow clones at certain points, let alone use his full abilities. As an example, Boruto at the start of his series can make more clones than that, and even with more training, Kakashi bodies him and says, maybe you're Chunin level. So keep that in mind when you're looking at Edo Tobirama only making 2 shadow clones. His most underestimated and talked about technique, however, other than his strange soul transfer jutsu, is his tandem paper bombs. This is an ancillary technique for the Edo Tensei he did not get to use against Kinkaku and Ginkaku, and that requires an Edo Tensei to even use. In the manga and anime, he uses this technique against Ten Tails Obito, and it doesn't really phase him, as obviously Obito is a beast. He's the same guy who can instantly bust out of Sage Hashirama's deity gates and pop the Hokage's 4-yang barrier that even withstood a Ten Tails Bijou bomb with just destroyed. His physical strength. So no real shocker that one of the Edo Hokage wouldn't just solo him with the jutsu. However, many people recently have re-looked at this feat and noticed something kind of extraordinary. I want you guys to look at this page here after Obito becomes the Ten Tails Jinchuriki and notice how Hashirama's deity gates that pin down the Ten Tails initially are all still there. This means that the deity gates could withstand the point-blank, contained and concentrated power of the Ten Tails unleashing a Bijou bomb, and this in itself is impressive but not an absolute shocker. After all, these are the same things that could hold it down to begin with. As a reminder, this Ten Tails is the same one with a Bijou bomb who vaporized the headquarters of the Shinobi Alliance, but then these gates appear again later, and Obito breaks out of all of them except for one, which would then be where the Hokage would land and the tandem paper bomb would be set up. These tandem paper bombs then obliterate Hashirama's largest deity gate, and Obito is even implied to have somewhat protected himself with his true-seeking powers. And without a doubt, if you were to pit Tobirama in his Edo state against Kinkaku and Ginkaku, and he'd literally just nuke.
Hold on, I've heard some say that these gates are fracturing apart in the explosion on the panel where the ones Obito already destroyed. However, we see Hiruzen who was looking at the explosion the entire time, then we see the explosion end with Obito floating over nothing when he was originally on a gate, implying that the gate was destroyed. We also never see it again. That's true.
Nuke them with a jutsu that would even scare the Ten Tails. Now, the exact power of this is pretty hard to measure, but busting a deity gate from Sage Hashirama that can hold down the Ten Tails and withstand Bijou bombs from it is pretty impressive,
yeah, that's
as
pretty
I've
insane.
explained. But along with his insane chakra and high Kage level power, his speed is of course up for debate as one of the top tiers of non-Six Paths Shippuden. And in the words of Madara Uchiha himself, Tobirama used to boast the fastest speed of any shinobi. Now, I've heard boast is supposed to mean that Tobirama falsely bragged about his speed. However, in this case, it's more so referring to something he possessed. An example, Hashirama boasts immense strength. Doesn't mean he brags about his strength.
No.
And it was supposed to be Madara complimenting him to bring light to the situation of how nerfed he is at the moment. He
was pointing out how ironic it is that, you know, the guy who was once touted as being the fastest shinobi alive is all of a sudden, you know, not, when he kind of needs that speed the most. Yeah, I think that's kind of what Hashirama was implying here.
Say that this is referencing to only during Tobirama's era, which is understandable, but that still makes him faster than Kinkaku and Ginkaku in their transform states, Tsuchikage Mu and Mizukage Gengetsu. Mu being the same guy who as an Edo believed he could keep up with KCM Naruto's clones that could somewhat duke it out with the Edo 3rd Raikage, and was caught off guard by Naruto's QB abilities to stretch his arms and springboard himself off of Gaara's combination attack. Tobirama was also able to tag Ten Tails Obito so many times that it's absurd, and in one instance is able to cover him in paper bomb by the time Obito splits him in half alongside Hashirama. Hashirama, Minato, Hiruzen, and Tobirama then proceed to nuke Obito with Tobirama's tandem paper bombs, and even QB Chakra Naruto says he can't even keep up and see what's going on. Tobirama is also fast enough to be relevant to dodge the Divine Tree from consuming people in the Alliance, something that many powerful shinobi would struggle and outright be caught by. One of my favorite feats of his is when he uses the Alliance as a decoy to try to destroy Madara the same way he did Izuna. Madara tries to counter and actually stab Tobirama, but Tobirama is able to react point blank and teleport out of the way, then gets off screen. This is Sage Mode Alive Renegon Madara, the same Madara who just sent a Limbo clone around the battlefield so fast that he took out all of the Bijou before Kurama could even say anything was happening. Yet here's Tobirama reacting to the actual full body of Madara. Madara also makes note of this, saying that Hashirama and Tobirama not being able to regain their full strength must be fate, and that he looks pitiful for someone who used to be the fastest, as I said earlier. Remember how everyone hyped up Jonin Minato for dodging the Raikage point blank? Here's Tobirama doing the same thing with Sage Mode Renegon Madara, not just a Jonin A.
Yeah,
now, I'm not commenting on Tobirama versus Minato in their primes or saying Minato dodging the Raikage and his youth is his best feat or anything, but simply bringing light to the fact that Tobirama does have good feats worth mentioning if people can hype something like dodging the Jonin A. Tobirama's Shadow Clone is also able to react to Obito's True Seeking Orb, about to detonate before even KCM 1.5 Naruto and EMS Sasuke can even move out of the way, and teleports it back to Obito. KCM Minato can also barely react to it as well. However, as I've outlined in my 4th Hokage's underrated video, Minato is not at his full capacity due to his mental barriers from fighting Obito, similar to Hiruzen versus Orochimaru.
Which is
now, there is a common
misconception
here with Izuna being Madara's equal.
For anyone who forgets, in the Naruto series, when it comes to using chakra to fight, chakra is both mental and spiritual. You need to have both of them working perfectly together in order to draw out your full capabilities. So if you go into a fight where you're sort of like mentally doubting yourself, you're not performing to the fullest of your capabilities. Like that's stated in the Naruto series, and that's why you could say that, let's say, it's hard to say. Well, like, okay, let's say if in the current series, let's say if we have Naruto going up against Boruto, who's been taken over by Momoshiki, Naruto may not be able to perform to the fullest of his capabilities because he knows that he's fighting his son and he doesn't want to hurt him and or, worst case scenario, kill him. So that way he'd be mentally, nerfing himself and not bring out his full power. You see what I mean? So that's kind of what was happening with Minato, because he knew he was fighting Obito, someone who used to be a student, and you could say he was kind of blaming himself for not being able to save him. Then that was keeping Minato from performing to the fullest of his capabilities.
That people used to say Tobirama in his prime is a rival to Madara back in the day. However, that was only in Itachi's flashback, which we know is not accurate to the original set of events. It was mainly to goad Sasuke on. Izuna and Tobirama are clearly shown and stated to be under Hashirama and Madara numerous times. It should also be common sense, but not everyone realizes the flashback memories aren't all actually events that happen, and some are just stories told by other people outside of the actual events of the main continuity. All in all, Tobirama might not be the most godly ninja of all time, with Hack's big tree muscles, or six paths reincarnations, or crazy eye abilities, but it's not a shocker that Danzo, Orochimaru, and Hiruzen respect him as much as they did, with Orochimaru saying Tobirama is the Hokage he respects the most, and with Danzo ending the Uchiha as he felt it was Tobirama's mission in war with the Uchiha. Orochimaru probably respected Tobirama more for what he did than why he did it. His students and old teammates such as Danzo are more than likely more personal than Orochimaru's favor. It is interesting to note that Tobirama is more than likely more tolerant of the Uchiha despite having a literal war with them than Danzo. I had a conversation with my friends Karthus Dojo and Clyde about this, and I think they did make good points as I was going around asking people what their opinions were on it. And Tobirama is a shinobi who was crafted by acting in the moment, acting in war, which is why he always seems to react instantaneously and ultra practically. Even as a child, he would learn that if true peace was to be reached, that talks would need to happen and deals would have to be made. And while he seemed to work with the Uchiha in the end due to Hashirama's wishes, it seems as though he never truly got over the conflict with them in the death of his own brother Itami Senju at their hands, and would begin to construct the village and its policies that would eventually lead to them being pushed out of the village, albeit this would more than likely be due to many who looked up to Tobirama and may have exaggerated his intentions. It can't be ignored that he is indeed the cause for many conflicts and deaths in the Fourth Great Ninja War, and in a sense, He's the Senju's Uchiha, whereas the Uchiha and Senju are both clans that experience love to an insane degree, and in the shinobi world, love conversely turns to hatred. The Uchiha clan are a clan that acquire power due to hatred, and this Tobirama is a shinobi who searches for power due to love and hatred, and his love and hatred may have been even greater than many of theirs. In the end though, it really does seem that he saw the Uchiha for what they really were, a clan that loved more than any other, that was empowered, intoxicated by hate and loss whenever it happened. Now, before we end the video, I do want to go over one thing that kind of irks me a little bit about the community, and I want to emphasize that when you compare characters like Danzo to Tobirama and their outlook on the Uchiha, we really get to see where Danzo has so much distaste for the Uchiha that he couldn't care less if they were completely just wiped out, and even mocks the death and sacrifice of Itachi to Sasuke's face. Now,
that guy.
Tobirama does say something similar, however, he says it was just simply for the village's benefit. He wasn't so much more mocking them like Danzo would. And he probably would have said the same thing about any clan. But Tobirama, a character once revered as the "I hate all Uchiha, kill them all" Hokage man, is in fact nothing like that at all, and is a much more layered character. That he shows he didn't fear the Uchiha due to blind hate or ignorance, but from first-hand experiences in war where he lost family and friends to the hands of them. He says to Sasuke that all it did was make him wary of them and how susceptible they are to loss, their mental health, and their dormant powers of the Sharingan. Something which all of us can listen to and understand he isn't as narrow-minded when he says this. If Tobirama was in fact this borderline bigot towards the Uchiha, why did he show such compassion to Sasuke when he pleaded with Madara not to kill him, and genuinely took the time to explain his reasonings to Sasuke when he could have just viewed him as a brat, as he originally did? Where Danzo took the route of hatred, Tobirama, whether these be good or bad, made decisions from a weary yet reasonable mind crafted from decades of war and conflict between others. In a weird way, maybe you could compare Danzo to Kylo Ren and Tobirama as Darth Vader, and Kylo just really didn't understand.
He compared Danzo to Kylo. Oh, okay, then that's fine. I thought he compared Tobirama to Kylo Ren, which, oof. God, that's a fucking horrible character.
As much as he acted like he did. Anyways, hope that clears up my thoughts on the matter. If you want, maybe you can even go back to my Kage ranking video and decide, with this information, where you would personally place Tobirama. Do you think you could take on Minato? And other than that, I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. And other than that, have a great rest of your day, and until next time.
And I think that's there's the video. So now, here's the thing. I agree with him on a lot of his points. For one, being, I don't think that Tobirama is someone who just blindly hates the Uchiha. I don't think that, because, and yeah, I get the meme. He hated the Uchiha. He pushed them back and all of that, segregated them into the end of the village and all that stuff. I get that. I do, but at the same time, I don't think that he is someone who just blindly hates them for no reason, even though he would have every reason to. Because it's like he said, he grew up being in a war with the Uchiha, and they're responsible for the deaths of so many members of his clan. So you could almost understand why he would grow like an irrational hatred for the Uchiha. But the truth is, he doesn't. And he even explained to Sasuke when Orochimaru brought him back with the Edo Tensei. He told them that it didn't matter who it was. If I believed that they posed a threat to the village, then I would view them with caution. It didn't matter if they were Uchiha or Senju or Nara or Akimichi. It didn't matter. If you were someone who I thought would pose a threat to the village, I would view you with a lot of caution. Like, I wouldn't just openly trust you not to do something. Yeah, and that's the case, because. And he even said it himself, like he had someone working for him who was a member of the Uchiha clan. I think it was Kagami Uchiha, who I think the third Hokage mentioned that who was an ancestor to Shisui Uchiha. Or not an ancestor, but a predecessor of Shisui Uchiha. And that just goes to show you, again, this whole thing that people have, or this mindset that people have, that the second Hokage, Tobirama, just blindly hates the Uchiha, is just completely incorrect. Like, that's not the case. And also, yes, he is without a doubt a lot more powerful than people give him credit for. Again, just look at all of the things that he's done in the war arc. And you know, a lot of people, it's like he said, they downplay him because he lost to the Kinkaku and Ginkaku force. But as you saw in the as you saw the examples that he brought up, the fact that they could use the Sage of the Six Paths tools at all goes to show you just how impressive they actually are. Like, these people are no joke. So if Tobirama got damaged and then died to these two, like, that's not downplaying him at all, because these two themselves are insane. And so, like we said, Kishimoto made them so strong that he had to come up with some cheap way to take him out. Which, yeah, he like I said, he has a tendency to do that. So, with that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you have another video you want me to watch, just let me know about it in the comment section down below. Remember to leave a like, share the video, and subscribe if you haven't. Make sure to ring the bell to be notified whenever I post a new video. And make sure to check the description of this video to see a link to this video, not the video that you're watching, but Seth's video, and a link to Seth's channel, so you can head on over there, watch his content, subscribe to him, go show him some support. And also there's a link to my second channel where I'll be posting content there that I can't post here on the main channel. With that being said, guys, again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now.